Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahushai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahushai, Brakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Just want to bless the name of the Most High by saying, Call Halo Yamla, Allah Yahweh, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. All praises to our power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, who is the God of the heavens and the earth, and the God of the 12 tribes of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You comprise the 12 tribes of Israel. You are the chosen people of the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honor to the elders and apostles who labor faithfully in this truth and are the true teachers of Israel today. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Habayav Madawadah, the brothers laboring to make their call of election sure on the four corners of the earth. To you I say Shalom, and to the Akim and Aquafium who also listen and believe on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. To you I say Shalom as well. This is the brother Sackcloth coming back with a quick lesson through the Spirit and power of the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, Lord willing, is edifying for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear through the Rakakwadash. So I'm going to start here, in the book of Isaiah 32, because the premise of the lesson is from this article that you see here on the screen, which it says the National Eviction Moratorium, what to know about a declaration. It says form in November 1st rent. It goes on to say a nationwide ban on evictions will last through December 31st, 2020, but tenants who are behind on rent must advocate for themselves. So let's get into this national eviction moratorium. Now, I'm starting here in the book of Isaiah 32, and I'm going to show how this is going to have a very tremendous impact, not only on just the American people, but first and foremost to you Israelites, who are the poor of the earth, the scriptures say, and then even more specifically to the women of the nation of Israel, to show that through the scriptures, why the scriptures speak and say the things that they do concerning the nation of Israel, and then more specifically the women, and show why would the scriptures speak in this manner so harshly concerning women, and the women of the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, let's get that. Let's start off in Isaiah 32 and verse 8, and it reads, Isaiah 32 and 8, but the liberal devises liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. So the scriptures say, the liberal deviseth liberal things. So I'll read it again, Isaiah 32 and 8, but the liberal, it says the liberal deviseth liberal things. So our people, starting with, the nation of Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, more specifically down to the women of our nation, they are liberal, and they devise liberal things, meaning they go for this system, this liberal system, this American Western culture, which is a liberal culture. So to be liberal is to be for the culture. So the women are the head of those that are liberal within the culture. Speaking of our women, the women of the 12 tribes of Israel. But the liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. So they stand for the society. They follow whoever's in power. So it says that they stand by these liberal things, by the ways of this place Babylon the Great, which once again predominantly is a liberal country, a nation that has very liberal laws, and who allow the people of the land to live liberally, to partake in whatever religion they want to, to have the freedom to, have children or not, to choose whether or not they want to be married or not, to choose whatever gender they want, whatever kind of lifestyle that they choose, etc. All of these things show that this nation, this land, this country, Babylon the Great, is liberal, and these ways have been pushed, these philosophies have been pushed unto the rest of the world, which is to do what? To be liberal, to partake in the liberalism of America, which just goes into the freedom to be able to choose whatever it is that you like. Verse 9, Isaiah 32:9. Rise up, the scriptures say, rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled. Why would the scripture speak so adamantly and harshly, speaking to the Israelite woman, those careless daughters? Why would the Lord say, give ear unto my speech? Because when this thing falls apart, the Israelite woman is going to be the most affected. It says, many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones, strip you and make you bare, gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briars, yea, upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city. And that joyous city is Babylon the Great. So I'm going to read a little bit of this article. It says the U.S. is currently under a national eviction moratorium that stops landlords from evicting tenants who don't pay until at least December 31st, 2020. Although the previous eviction ban that was part of the CARES Act only covered certain properties, this current moratorium effectively protects everyone living in one of the nation's roughly 43 million rental households. It said regardless of the kind of building they live in. But there's a catch. Tenants who's fallen behind on rent must sign a declaration form and submit it to their landlord stating they've lost income due to the coronavirus pandemic and have made an effort to look for financial assistance, as well as a few other conditions. This part is critical. Some states, and it says in cities, continue to have their own eviction bans on the books. Here's an up-to-date list. A few offer more protection than the federal eviction moratorium, but many have their laws expire. Landlord associations have also began challenging many of the orders preventing evictions, including the nationwide ban, but so far there have been few, if any, victories for property owners. Despite this, landlords across the country have continued to file evictions against tenants, sometimes when the tenants simply don't know about the required declaration. So this is going into, this eviction moratorium, which is vastly approaching, which some 30 to 50 million people this will affect 30 to 50 million people, which is about a sixth of the people in America. About 1 out of 6 of the people in America. It says the current national eviction moratorium was ordered by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention using a 1944 public health law. It's intended to curb the spread of a pandemic. Because homelessness can increase the spread of COVID-19, the order halts evictions across the U.S. for anyone who has lost income due to the pandemic and has fallen behind on rent. The federal mandate doesn't prohibit late fees, although some local ordinances do, nor does it let tenants off the hook for any back rent they owe. So people are going to have to pay back all these months that they have used, to partake in this moratorium or this freeze on paying their rent. It says it also doesn't establish any kind of financial assistance fund to help renters. It says get caught up. A safeguard some say is critical to prevent a massive wave of evictions when the ban eventually lifts. Many cities and states, however, have set aside money to help with renters. Keep reading on how to find financial assistance. If you keep reading, it goes into, how, these different states and the nation is running out of money because that money is now being used, to help those that are in need. So some 30 to 50 million people are going to fall into this national eviction moratorium. This eviction crisis is coming. It's been talked about for some time now, maybe for 7 or 8 months now. And now that time is coming, which is December the 31st. Now I read in Isaiah 32 about how the Lord said the liberal devise liberal things, and they stand by the liberal things, and the women should rise up. Now, I'm speaking about this and going into the scripture showing this because the women are going to be, and then down to the children are going to be the most affected by this. And the scriptures speak about how in these last days that people are going to be doing the things that are unimaginable to their children, amongst their families, etc. So now you see why the woman being the weaker vessel will be in a very compromised situation. And what is that compromised situation? The fact that the power structure and the power seat of the world is going to be changing, and there's not going to be answers for all of the, all of the wickedness that's going to be upon the earth, So there's not going to be any answers for that. So why is that important? I got some brief stats here before I go back to Isaiah 32 and a few more precepts. So some of those stats is that during the last world census revealed, it says that out of an estimated 8 billion people, approximately, it says around 5 to 6 billion were believed to be women. So this worldwide census, out of 8 billion people, approximately 5.6, which is more than half. It's nearly 60+%, almost 70%. So 60+% of the people on the planet are women. And it says those housing statistics I also look through here in America show that women take on at least 70 to 80% of all government housing, EBT, or first of all, government housing, or known as Section 8, and all other forms of housing, EBT, going into, what was formerly known as food stamps, WIC for children, Social Security for children with disabilities, that predominantly goes to women, child support predominantly goes to women, spousal support after divorces, and alimony. 70 to 80% of these government programs typically support women, showing you that's why it said in Isaiah 32 and 8 that the liberal devise of liberal things, about liberal things they stand. That's why the women stand for, these liberal things, these programs. So starting with our women who are, at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to, the people, because when all of this is taken away, there's going to be a very large amount of women, Israelite women, who are going to be going to get the brunt of this hardship that's coming, which is going to be known as the time of Jacob's trouble, pertaining to Daniel 12:1 and also Jeremiah 30:7. So this is a warning why it says, and why it said in Isaiah 32, hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Tremble, ye careless women. So, continuing on, all of these things show, all of these stats show that, there's judgment coming to everyone, but the brunt of that's going to come to the women and the children. So this is who are the caretakers predominantly for the children. This is the book of Micah 7:10, and it reads, then she that is my enemy shall see it. So the woman, by and large, the Israelite woman is the enemy, of the Israelite man. Therefore, also making her the enemy of the Most High, because she's not standing for the Yahweh Shem Yahushua by and large. The vast majority of our women are for the system, and they follow, the ways of the world. Micah 7:10, then she that is my enemy shall see it, the Israelite woman, and shame shall cover her. So the shame is going to come during the time of Isaiah 4:1, the time of Jacob's trouble. That's going to be the shame. So right now the women predominantly are not ashamed of anything. Because why? Because they have capacity to man. And I'll get that here in a second. Then she that is my enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her, which saith unto me. And she don't say that just literally, but with her actions, with the way that they live. This is how they speak. The way that you live, your actions show who you are and what you stand for. It says, where's the Lord thy power? Because all of this talk of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and 2/3 of that 2/3 number is a big majority are women who are doing what? Disregarding the words of the prophet. Continuing to believe the things in their own heart. That's what the scriptures tell us, to prophesy against the daughters of thy people, who prophesy out of their own hearts. So it says, which saith unto me, where is the Lord thy power? Mine eyes shall behold her, now shall she be trodden down as the mire of the streets. So that's going to show that the women are going to be brought very low. The scriptures also say that I will make a man more precious than fine gold. You continue to read the scriptures speaking about an Israelite man of the elect. Now, why is that important? Well, when you go to Jeremiah 31:22, it tells you, how long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? So going back to Isaiah 32 and precept here in Jeremiah 31:22. So Jeremiah 31:22 says, how long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? Speaking of the children of Israel, and more specifically to the daughters of Israel, which we'll go back to Isaiah 32 to close it out. So it says, how long are you going to go backslide? Which means what? Not to come into your rightful place as the daughters of Zion and into your role as being women again. It says, for the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth, a woman shall compass a man. So because the woman hath compassed a man, that's why we see now what we see now, which is, let's go back to Isaiah 32. We see that the most liberal of our people starts with the woman, meaning they stand for the society, this liberal society. Isaiah 32:8, but the liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. So they stand for the ways of Babylon the Great, America, by and large. So that's why it says in verse 9, rise up ye women that are at ease. Because if you're for the ways of Babylon and you're liberal, that means you are at ease. Hear my voice, which is the voice of the prophets, ye careless daughters. So that's why it spoke and said what it said in Jeremiah the 31st chapter, 22nd verse. How long are you going to go about like this and not come back to your rightful place? So the elect women are coming back into the fold. But the vast majority of the women will not, because many of them are going to be destroyed in the time of Jacob's trouble and left to be destroyed by the missiles, because they refuse to hearken unto the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushua as the weaker vessel, the scriptures say. Verse 10, many days and years shall you be troubled. So this is the time of many days and years, and we've been experiencing that. Constant trouble. Ye careless women. So this eviction crisis is going to hit the women the hardest and the worst. Because once again, they are the caretakers of the children, and they are the weaker vessel. For the venture shall fail. All these, big time jobs and prosperity, and once again, child support, alimony, spousal support, Social Security for the children with disabilities, EBT, WIC, housing, Section 8, all of that, it's going to be that venture that's going to fail. It's not going to turn back around. The gathering should not come. There's not going to be, a regrouping and everything is going to go back to normal. This is going to be the new normal, going to worse times. Tremble. So the scriptures say, tremble ye women that are at ease. Those that don't take ear to the words of the prophets and come back to serving, Yahweh Shem Yahushua as being women according to the scriptures. It says, be troubled, ye careless ones. That makes you careless when you disregard the words of the Most High. Strip you and make you bare. The Lord's going to take all these things away. That's why it said in verse 10 that the vintage shall fail, the gathering is not going to come. Because the Lord's going to strip you and make you bare and gird sackcloth upon your loins. It's going to be a time of great mourning. It says, they, starting with the women, shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. So like a baby that's on the breast, that's how they're going to lament, as if the breast was taken away. Those are the teats. All of these things, all of these programs are set up for the women to live, in comfort. And the scriptures tell us that she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she lives. So it says, for the fruitful vine, all these programs are like a fruitful vine. It says, upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briars, yea, upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city, which is America. So yeah, everyone's going to be affected by this, but most predominantly, the women are going to be affected because they are the caretakers of the children and they are the weaker vessel. So that's why all this joy in this land is going to be turned to mourning, the scriptures say. So with that, I hope that was edifying to the hopeful elect. Call Haloyim La, Allah Yahweh Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles who labor faithfully in this truth, and are the true teachers of Israel today. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Habayath, Madabadah, the house of David. The brothers is laboring, bringing you this truth on the four corners of the earth to make their calling of election sure. To the Akim and Akwathium who listen and also believe on Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, to you I say shalom as well.